shelters buried deep in the ground would provide no protection. New weapons are being developed as the industrialists see profits in the research and development of new weapons. In this, their military has cooperated and played a big role as they would be the only organization to need and use the new weapons. The industrialists not only produce sophisticated new weapons, but they invariably follow up with the defenses against the weapons they have developed. Nations, rich and poor, have been forced to buy and equip their armed forces with these offensive and defensive weapons or systems. After this, the industrialists would come up with a new weapon that could penetrate the defense system they had sold previously. Should the country refuse to buy these, the producers would hint at offering the weapons to the potential enemy of the country. Fearing the enemy would possess the weapons which could penetrate its defense, the country would be forced to acquire the new weapon. Then the industrialists would come up with a new defense system against the weapon they had just sold. Again, the buyer would be forced to buy this defense system. And so this would go on endlessly. The industrialists would wax rich even if the weapons would not be used. This is not my imagination. It is happening now, even in Malaysia. We have to buy expensive aircrafts and submarines, although we don't expect to go to war with anyone. And we have to upgrade them every now and then. The weapons merchants would try to create an arms race between neighboring countries or rival countries in order to be able to sell the arms they produced. The arms race would create fear and tension between countries, yet fearing mutual destruction, few of these countries would go to war with each other. Not being used, the expenditure on arms would be wasted. The urge to try out these weapons in real-life situations would be irresistible. And so proxy wars and wars against weaker nations would be started. But the countries of the world never learn. They would upgrade their weaponry continuously, even though they know they have very seldom any use for the weapons. Along the way, industrialists and the military have developed a symbiotic relation. Always desirous of becoming more and more powerful, the military would build a case for the need to develop new weapons against the possibility of attack by potential enemies whose weapons might be superior. Unable to recoup the money spent, the industrialists marketed their weapons to the world. They worked hand in hand with their governments, the military, the banks, and the media. Together, they and their sales talk would be irresistible. The weapons trade has developed and grown until it has become a big part of world trade. The effect of this trade is to impoverish countries which have to continually upgrade their weaponry at considerable cost, and the arms race which invariably follows as neighboring countries compete in upgrading their weaponry. The weapons producing countries are still spending trillions of dollars conceiving, inventing, developing, testing, and producing weapons. This is being done at the behest of the military, but often the defense industries would come up with frightening scenarios which could be handled by their latest multi-million-dollar weapons. It is not the defense of their countries which they care about. It is the money to be made. Any new scientific discoveries would be thoroughly studied for use in weapons. Thus, firecrackers, noxious gases, bacteria, chemicals, metal alloys, new metals, lasers, radio waves, electrical and electronic devices, composite material, carbon fibers, and just about anything would be examined, analyzed, studied, tested for applications in weapons to make the killing of people more efficient. Almost without exception, some application would be found for use in killing people. Radio-controlled toy cars and model aeroplanes have now evolved into remotely controlled unmanned aircrafts, land and sea vehicles to deliver bombs and other explosives and even biological and chemical weapons without risking the lives of the attackers. The technology for unmanned aerial vehicles, UAV, which could carry cameras and radio transmitters, has now been applied to the full-size military aircrafts. The pilots would be on the ground facing their numerous consoles, monitoring and controlling the aircrafts by radio, programming their flight and releasing their murderous cargo bombs or firing their rockets. The pilots are not exposed to any danger by the bombs and the rockets they fire from hundreds and thousands of miles away. Without the risk of being killed, the urge to war and kill is enhanced. The pilot of Enola Gay had to fly his plane thousands of miles to be over Hiroshima in order to drop his beloved little boy, to kill 100,000 people and destroy the whole city. He ran the risk of being attacked by enemy fighters and being shot down and killed. The modern pilot can now fly the most sophisticated radio-controlled bombers from his base in his country to drop the atomic bomb precisely over the target city. 100,000 people, or even 1 million people, would be killed, and the whole city totally destroyed, just as was done by the pilot of Enola Gay. And all this can be done within games of cards or watching a football match over a glass of beer. The pilot risks nothing at all, yet the men, women, children, the aged, the sick, and the disabled would all be killed, and many thousands more wounded, losing their arms and legs, having their abdomen ripped open and their guts spilling on the ground. Hospitals, schools, markets, shopping complexes, and buildings of all kinds would be pulverized. Fires would start, and a firestorm would suck up all the oxygen, suffocating the survivors. Even if no nuclear material is used, the power of modern explosives and the size of the mega bombs, each weighing more than 15 tons, would do enough damage to devastate whole cities. There would be nowhere to hide. The new bombs and rockets have the ability to pierce through the earth and concrete to great depths before exploding, so that those in bomb shelters would no longer be safe, be protected from the new weapons. Noxious gases and radiation would kill rescuers and the gases would be blown for hundreds of miles, killing and spreading disease of all kinds. The great military power